welcome here to All Streams Lead to the Ocean. I wanted to see in this room how many people are actually working in a marine park or are involved in managing a marine park. So can you please stand up? Very impressive. So we're actually met our goal then to reach out to our community. But we'd also have some of them who work in non-governmental organizations. So can I have those who work in an NGO stand up? Seems we have a lot of support from our community as well. And finally, I think we have people who might fit more in, to say, the private sector or who are working with universities and are involved. So can we have those stand up? Right, so we still have a bit of way to go before we reach the private sector community. Thank you very much. So, we have a great program here today. I will actually introduce the two main protagonists for this morning. It's Dr. Russell Reichard from the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park Authority, and it's Dan Basta from NOAA Marine Sanctuaries Program. Welcome.
They're helping to protect the reef as well. save them and no one knows what they're about, then of course, why would they care? Anyway, today we're really excited to announce that first year of data, which is 125 kilometres of sea territory, is now available to anyone who wants to work on it, look at it, and so on. And it's available on computers, iPads, and other mobile devices. And it's literally over 100,000 images on the Great Barrier Reef. So we have another goal, and that is to take this worldwide. And our teams are already working in 20 countries. We've got 600 kilometres of territory. It really is this rapid acquisition of images and then using image recognition and machine learning to sort of analyse those images in real time if we can, so that people can really understand what's happening to the reef. And this is really a collaboration between the University of Queensland, the non-for-profit Underwater Race, Captain Reinsurance Group, Google, IUCN, UNESCO, and many others. And it's really an exciting place to be, because I think we can, with this disruptive technology, really make these ecosystems zine and make people understand them and want to protect them. So if properly implemented, Russell, this is my notes here, this should be just the thing the park manager needs for tracking those pesky coral, eating ground-formed starfish and keeping track of those growing global warming impacts in the island I'm so passionate about.
Thank you, Russell. And I wanted this podium especially because I always want to be on the right side of Australia. Not good to not be on your right side. No comment. My job is to talk a little bit about the climate theme. Thank you all for being here, marine protected area people and those interested. And what we're trying to do is to try and describe to you how I think we've tried to connect to all the streams, the focal points here at the National Parks Congress. I want to start off talking a little bit about climate change by showing a video done by a young man named Nelson Canuck from Alaska. If we could show that.
Kippanuck, it's a small community, a village. It's not really connected to the outside world, but I was always interested in what's going on all around us. I was curious about climate change and how it was affecting us. I didn't realize how bad it was. When I finally understood what climate change was, I thought, what could I do to help? I thought that would help a lot to tell my story of how we're being affected by climate change on this side of the world.
If you know it's right in your heart, I told them, don't be afraid to tell.
It's mostly about the winter coming late. The snow would usually come around September or October, but for the past few years it's been coming around November. In December 2008, it was the worst flood that I remember. You could see all of this water just flowing swiftly into the village that way, and at the same time there was these huge ice sheets that were just coming in fast, and heard these loud thumps and bumps on the side of the house. And I figured that was probably the ice sheets that broke apart from the river that are hitting the house. After the water went back into the river, there was just brown, sticky mud all over the ground and wherever the water touched. That mud was on top of these steps, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Floods in December are uncommon. The river is usually frozen all the way till spring. And also the erosion that we're facing here. The warmer temperatures are causing the permafrost to melt, and the permafrost to melt affects the land through erosion. So the erosion cuts off some land that falls into the river, and we lose quite a bit each year. This spring, my dad and we measured how far it was. This year we lost about 8 feet, and a few weeks ago we lost another 5 feet. Yeah, we have another 40 or so feet left until the bank of the river reaches our house.
Done with the film? point or two before moving on to why marine protected places count and are important in this situation of tremendous change that we're all in. Clearly, those impacts that we see most strong are really reflected along the coast of our planet. As this young man has told us, in his lifetime, he has seen this dramatic change. So how does someone who's about 15 years old in his lifetime understand dramatic change? The frequency of change is increasing. We all know that. We live in a dynamic equilibrium planet. It's always been changing, but it's a frequency now that is the critical issue of change. So in his short lifetime, he actually sees a shifting baseline. That's a very short period. The other key thing he mentioned was that the timing has changed, that snows come at a different time. Well, animals go to places at different times. So there's a change in the biogeography that is expressed very clearly along the coast, and the impacts can be seen in the lifetime of a 15-year-old. So we have a special role that we may play in this problem on our planet, as I think all special places do, but I think marine special places have a particular role, because they're where we can communicate far better what's happening in change than we may be able to in other places, because the change is so dramatic. And conveying the essence of things, we understand better when it's about a place. We can understand large-scale processes when we describe them about a place, a bay, an area that you know, rather than the entire ocean or the entire world. So they're fabulous places for us to connect the story, tell the story, and communicate to a much wider audience than we have actually used in the past. And that's why we're here. Second thing that they can do, which is kind of related to that, but a little bit different, is sentinel sites. Now, sentinel sites mean a lot of various things. In my own agency in the US, you can get a lot of different answers of what that is. But a sentinel site is a concept of, for us, a place where you are observing, monitoring change, and all change. Epifauna, infauna, water column. You're doing a census of place, and you're keeping track of that in change detection. And it's not just a science question, it's a community question. And marine protected areas are community-based places. Now, if you look at this world map, marine protected areas are throughout the planet. They are the most comprehensive network of places if one would like to think about keeping track of change, detecting change, understanding it, because the only species on the planet that cares about it is us, humans. MPAs, MPA networks have a special role that they can play. And finally, of course, we all want to know, what do you do? How do I adapt? How is that young boy going to adapt? They're going to move back 50 feet, 100 feet? They're going to move to a different place on the coast? How do we come to grips with what will you do? And as you know, this is a big issue. I can't do anything about it. I don't know at all what it means. What can I do? Special places are laboratories for investigating those questions. They are places where the science and adaptive management come together because it's place-based. Marine protected places have a unique role to play, but must be played, of course, with all special places on this planet, because you need this larger constituent base to understand this and to actually navigate the future. There are going to be some more sessions that talk about climate change and MPAs at 1:30 and 3:30 today in the south room in this building. And with that,
thanks, Dan. That's really good. Just reminding us, 3.1 reaching conservation goals. Now we've looked at responding to climate change. I want to change the pace now. I want to take you to the inner sights and sounds of your feelings. It's to do with human health People have fantastic connections to the oceans and the special places in the oceans. We're drawn to it. And this is just a short interlude where I want you to relax for a minute. Picture yourself by the ocean. I'm your yoga guru now. Breathe deeply. Relax the little muscles around your eyes. Don't go to sleep. Spectacular. Thanks to Bernard Abbe for his incredible performance which occurred in Marseille and Impact 3 last year. On this topic, improving human health and well-being, don't miss the session on ecotourism and the health of parks and communities, 8:30 a.m. on Monday in the Charlie Room. Now we move on.
Okay. That's a very smooth transition to supporting you in life, but both of these themes kind of overlap, would you say? Now, one of the reasons why we're doing this here this afternoon is because the marine community did not determine the themes. The World Parks Congress did. And our job was to try and find ways in which we could express marine protected areas and our community's interests in those streams. So these are sort of, I would argue, a bit overlapping, if you will. But nevertheless, there are important points that we can make in both of these. So the first thing that I want to show you is a Conservation International film that kind of speaks to the point, feed the world, they say. So we can show that. to me, that's one of the best shorts on the issue. It encapsulates it in a very quick and dynamic way, and it doesn't belabor the point for any of us. But who speaks for this? Marine protected areas around this planet do. I think that's why we believe it's important for us to be here at these sessions. It's that human thing. There are going to be some other great sessions on this topic specifically this afternoon in this stream at 3:30 p.m. in the Playfair room. I think it'll be really interesting to be there because it's how does the rest of the Congress connect to the fundamental driver that is oceans? How does it connect to that? I think we all need to be there if you can. Next stream.
Thanks, Dan. What a graphic demonstration of the critical importance to all of us, the ocean. Thanks to you bringing CIs, turning the tide media to us. This type of communion with nature is critical that we don't forget what gives us life. Stream 5 is about how we interact and how do we address and reconcile the development challenges with conservation needs of the ocean. And what better person to talk to us about our own treasure, ocean treasure, world leader, ocean elder, to help us appreciate the treasures of our ocean. But I'd ask Sylvia to say something now about introducing your special contribution.
So Dan Ross described a young man who in 15 years has witnessed remarkable change. Well, I've been witnessing changes in the ocean since the 1950s, so it's a bit more than that young man from last week. But with a similar concern about changes that are taking place, they were portrayed in a film called Mission Blue. It appears on Netflix. Netflix has not yet appeared here in Australia, but the Australian premiere showing of the film will take place tomorrow evening at 7:30 p.m. at the University of Technology. So I hope you can come and share my view of the changes that I have personally witnessed, including here in Australia, where I first came in the 1970s. To the Coral Sea and to other places around the country over the years. So I hope you'll come and see the film. Are we going to see a little trailer of it?
I believe we are, yeah.
All right, this is a taste. Thank you. Different world. The world has changed enormously just in my lifetime. Maria, this is off Mexico. That's where I first fell in love with the ocean. I think if others had the opportunity to witness what I have seen in my lifetime, in thousands of hours of work, I'm not saying I grabbed it at all.
It's a pleasure to introduce a scientist, an engineer, a teacher, and an explorer.
The ocean is dying. All of us, we are the beneficiaries of having burned through fossil fuels. But at what cost? 60 years ago, when I began exploring the ocean, no one imagined that we could do anything to harm it. I saw the after influence of what we can do to the natural world. Think of the world without an ocean. We've got a planet a lot like Mars. No ocean, no life. No ocean, no us.
In 1990, she became the chief scientist for NOAA, National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
I worked in one meeting, and I was never allowed to go again. I feel like I must resign, and as a private citizen, do what I can do with more freedom.
She's not afraid to say, you know what you're doing and it's wrong.
I really speak for the ocean. It If we continue business as usual, we're in real trouble.
She's made it her life's purpose to make sure everybody else understands what's going on.
Sylvia has a wish for the planet, what she calls her mission blue. Protect the ocean in the same way we now protect the land.
I wish for a global network of marine protected areas to save and restore the ocean.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thanks. So we're looking forward to seeing the whole film. Sylvia, if I can speak personally, it was the photos of you in the gym suit when I was about 14 that made me think that I want to be a meteorologist. Look, you're so influential. I realised as I introduced you, I just called you Sylvia. Everyone knew exactly what I meant. So you are a true ocean water. I know this issue of development is such a hot topic, it's such a difficult topic. It's right around the world. The importance of marine protected areas is critical. In a way, seeing that map of the world and the growing area of them, having attended the big ocean meeting recently, and to see entire Pacific country economic zones declared protected areas in the last week, this is heading in the right direction. But we are grappling with the issue of development along our own barrier reef coast. It's a very hot topic, as you know. We've done a strategic assessment, and there's a specific session on this on Tuesday at 10:30 in the capacity development room if you'd like to find out more. Andrew Skeet will be presenting our experiences tomorrow at 1:30 in Hall 4 North Lot. And with that, we'll move on from stream 6 through to stream 7, the government's over there.
Thanks, Russell. Sylvia left in 1990. I didn't. And that's really a governance question. Because governance is really about how we organize ourselves for outcomes. And Sylvia could be far more effective on the outside because of the governance structure on the inside. I think I could be far more effective on the inside because I don't care about the governance structure, really. So I want to do a little bit about that. I have a little definition that I thought we should just take a look at because it's such a confusing subject for everyone. It's something that I wrestle with every day with the National Marine Sanctuary System of the U.S. and our international things. So we get wrapped around the axle on this. And sometimes we ask the wrong questions, and we're more concerned with who's in control than we are concerned about the outcomes. So it's a very simple thing of what it is intended to do. However, it becomes one of the most complex human endeavors. Go on to the next slide a bit. For us, governance, and for all of us, I believe, if you really manage a marine protected area or a system or are actively involved in creating change, it's simply building coalitions. It's just that. We can get lost in the syntax of regulation. We may get lost in the state, federal, local, international domain. I don't know that we have time for that. I think Sylvia was quite clear, and I really encourage you to see that film. The film is a bit different than the trailer because it gently lets you understand about what has happened without hitting you over the head, actually, by following someone's autobiography, basically is what it is. So governance is this thing about how do we balance and integrate leadership? How do we do this delicate balance of top-down versus bottom-up? Where's the sweet spot in that and the magic spot? Now, last night, I'm looking at Malcolm, there was a meeting of some NGOs, and we were talking about that question, and I asked the question, if you have $5 to spend, $5 is all you had to spend, where would you put that money in terms of top-down versus bottom-up? And there was no answer. But my answer is, I would put all $5 on the bottom-up. Community-based structures can cut across all the governance domains that we have before us. It's a level that allows you to be close enough to the deck in reality, but reach up to higher levels of governance structures. And being close to the deck is really the most important part, because that's where the outcomes get manifested. That's where the problems are. That's where people are wringing their hands over the dinner table about what the heck's happening. Why can't we just get it done? Empower the bottom to make the top down more effective. You got to do both. But if you ask me at this stage of my experience doing this, all $5, they're going down. Down to, who is this guy?
Am I meant to interrupt now? Right. I'm sorry about that. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause, please.
He missed his cue.
I'm sorry, I just want to get going. How many Australians in the room? Just a show of hands, so I know the Australians here. How many, not always xenophobic, but how many foreigners do we have here because I'm Australian? Okay, great mixture. My name is Paul, and I don't know why I'm here, ladies and gentlemen, but I'm going to be doing a quick song with you. Anyway, this has been weird thus far because Honey from the Sea freaked out my mind completely, and I thought it was an acid trip back in the 80s. I don't know if anyone else saw that. It wasn't something I normally associate with science, and I'm high-taking my silver as well, and listening to care about me, she's on the computer. Anyway, it's all just a couple of points here. Keep working at the task, says, so you don't stop. I'm not going to say I was in love with you, but stuff for now. Also, ladies and gentlemen, just for the people from overseas, and this is just a point of order, I don't know if anyone's mentioned it. This is a very classy place, Homebush, all right? Very classy place. We got here about 10:30 today, and just for the foreigners, just so you understand, when I went to the male toilets, there was a sign on the floor saying wet floor, which I did, but no, okay? Very classy. Okay, try and keep up the etiquette if you possibly can. Also, this, you may have heard it yourself, this isn't a great auditorium for a lecture or for performance. The feng shui in this building is stuff, and many of you may have felt just drifting off during the previous speakers, which I certainly did. What we did is thank you very much. What we did was we got my feng shui expert here at 10:30, and he said all you need is a couple of large Chinese pots, and just put one at the entrance of the auditorium, one at the exit of the auditorium, and the energy in the room will just flow through. I'm sure we've all felt that. All you have to do then is get a couple of goldfish, put one in each pot, and the energy will flow. So we did that, but about 15 minutes later I noticed both of those goldfish are dead. So had to get another couple of goldfish, which we did, put them in the pots, and the energy was meant to flow, but about 10 minutes later those goldfish were dead too. We went through about 16 goldfish in that manner, and then one of the organisers came up and went, water, which was great. So it sort of all ties into the theme, doesn't it? Climate change, terrible situation that's facing the entire world at the moment. And just recently there was a Brazilian bushfire in Melbourne, which killed 3. Yeah, at a Melbourne news channel. So that's horrible. So we're going to do a short song. We were meant to originally do a song on governance and a piece on governance, which we did right, but then we sent it in bullet form to get checked, and everyone said, no, you fucking can't do that. So instead we put a song that I will sing for you now, just a general overview of the wonder of this conference. Thank you. Oh, this is Paul Livingston, by the way. This is a flacco, if you know him, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm wet and moist. I'm the ocean, so rejoice in marine parks and the wonders of the seas. Let's keep them free from pollutants and disease. For the world's a big place, and we need
You notice fans stopped? There's magic in dance. I think they did it. What a tremendous show. Now, of course, if you were watching, my notes were like flowing all over the stage. So am I supposed to be up now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am? Yeah, okay. And this is about inspiring the next generation. And that's a major stream that is here at the Congress. So how do you do that? You know, everybody's trying to do that. Everybody's trying to find a way to engage youth. I want to show a short film as well to, again, follow with the idea of trying to be visual about how this might work. And the film I'm going to show you is from a program called Ocean for Life. And it combines children from various parts of the world into common learning experiences in learning marine science, in this case, in marine sanctuaries. And it's that immersiveness and connectivity that is a very important motivating factor. So I want to just show that, and then we're going to go to something else. Where's the video? They're just like you, Jessica. They don't want to see the video. The video is not going to run? I'll kill you. First the fan and the lights, and now the video. Russell, I don't want to be on the right side of Australia anymore. But the point of that video is just a visual demonstration, and videos made by these young people themselves, not made by someone else and saying, is this good? So what do they think? What do they feel how do they express this connection to ocean, to place, to conservation, and what do they commit to do when they leave that experience? Because it's all about an experiential learning experience. It's all about them taking something from it that they continue, and then it's all about them projecting it to others in the generation to become involved, to be inspired. And fortunately, we have a tremendously inspiring person from that generation, Jessica. If you would come up, the only person in the world, young woman, to circumnavigate planet Earth on a sailboat. Tell us.
So my story started a little bit different to what we expected. Just go to the first slide here. I was a quiet, shy, timid kid, probably the last person you'd expect to actually sail around the world. The idea to sail around the world came from, of all things, a book that my mum read to me, which is fantastic because I can blame my mum for the whole idea and really can read it many, many times when she regretted it. But the inspiration for the voyage came from years and years of spending weekends, occasional holidays, on the water and outdoors. My family spent every weekend camping, and they weren't particularly fierce and adventurous, but just getting outdoors and letting us run wild on the weekends. I didn't realise at the time that it led me to do what I did. It gave me that inspiration, it inspired me to strive further and reach further. As I said, I got the idea from the book. This was when I was 11 years old. But it takes so many things to set off around the world. I think there are a lot of people who thought I just jump out of my bed and playing with my dolls, my Barbie doll, and sail off around the world. It certainly wasn't like that. There were years and years of preparation. And that was everything from fixing engines, stitching up sails, learning to navigate by the stars, to, of course, lots of sailing. And that sailing was fantastic because I got to visit some really incredible places in the Tasman, up and down the east coast of Australia, and the southern Antarctic. Many of the people along the way who helped me put the voyage together. I had a huge incident before I set off on the adventure itself, where I actually hit a container ship, a 63,000-ton container ship. That's pretty embarrassing. And it fueled the huge amount of criticism there was at the time about what I was doing. And that criticism was interesting because it challenged perceptions of what young people can do. I think people underestimate far too often what young people are capable of, and this is certainly my experience. But it's also interesting, I think, some of the reasons behind that criticism was that people are terrified of the ocean. It's so unknown to so many people, more outside this room certainly, and it's this big unknown, and people are scared of that, so they're scared of doing something that they knew so little about themselves. To finally set off on the voyage, the next slide, we are there, fantastic. I sailed over Sydney, across the Pacific Ocean, beautiful place to be, up to the equator. I didn't quite sail into that terrible rubbish patch we have in the northern Pacific Ocean. Instead, I sailed south under Cape Horn, which is into the Southern Ocean, which is an incredible place. Powerful, it's beautiful, it's very grey and cold as well. There's a little albatross down there. And the first experience I had with the storm on this voyage was a really special one because, of course, I was quite nervous. But throughout the 6 hours that the storm was at its worst, I actually had this dolphin swimming next to the boat for the entire time. I'm not a particularly spiritual person. To have that dolphin swimming next to the boat for the worst of that storm, just like he was sort of keeping me company, reassuring me, was the most amazing experience. Through the Southern Ocean, as I said, it's awe-inspiring, it's incredible, and of course it's terrifying as well. And there was a particular storm, and this was actually in the Atlantic Ocean, Southern Atlantic Ocean, that was particularly bad. You know, I got a forecast of the storm, but the weather was a lot worse than anyone expected, and it got to the point where that night the waves were being taller than this roof. Wind over 74 knots before the wind instruments were off, we were rolled upside down. So that's a knockdown, as sailors call it, when the boats roll upside down. I had 4 of these this particular night, and it was the bird that was particularly concerning. Because if you can imagine being down in the middle of the night and this incredible noise, it's a huge fan, it's not running right now, because it gives you just a very small idea of what it's like to be in this boat brain does very strange things. But I do remember thinking, how can a group possibly survive this? The power of these waves is just incredible. It's a huge test of preparation, though, which he did pull through with minor damage, and the solar panels was a bit cracked up, which was not the end of the world where I was relying on that power. But of course, there were also some really, really beautiful experiences out there. Before I move on, this is a picture that was actually taken the day before I got home. And I particularly love this picture because that's what I call a rough day out there, not a particularly severe day. And I think if that was a rough day, you can imagine what that particular night was like in that Atlantic Ocean. These pictures here are taken as I got closer home under Tasmania, under Australia. And as I said, there were some of those beautiful experiences out there as well. There was one night that was particularly special because the water was so entirely perfectly still. Just kind of frustrating from a sailor's perspective as well, because you don't go anywhere. But the water was so still that first the sunset and then the stars were reflected so perfectly in the water. You couldn't actually tell where the horizon was. You couldn't tell where the sky stopped and the water began. So they were really, really beautiful, but also incredibly eerie as well to have that amount of stillness by yourself out there. Quite special to spend so long, as 210 days at sea by myself. People could have us too excited. Reality was there's a lot of grey, empty ocean out there. I don't want to make it sound like a terrible thing though, because when you are out there just with the ocean for such a long time, you come to appreciate how beautiful the boring of the ocean is. The makeup, the little ripple with each wave is incredibly special. Maybe I spent a little bit too much time looking at it to appreciate that. After so much time by myself, I arrived back here to Sydney, and there were thousands of people that needed me, including the Prime Minister, which was quite overwhelming coming from that complete opposite. I spent so much time by myself. That's my story in a small nutshell, but I suppose one thing I've taken away from that voyage and all the sailing I've done since is just a great respect for the ocean, and obviously a love for it. I've come to love it more and more, and how special it is. And we heard about inspiring the next generation, and for me, it's about getting people out there and experiencing what I've experienced and how much I love it. And obviously, we heard earlier too, those pictures of the reef, letting people see it and experience it is surely the best way to protect it. So, looking for opportunities to do what I can, obviously to protect it in the future, because it is so important to me, so I can continue enjoying it as well. So thank you very much for having me.
Through our experience at the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, we've learned so many things.
We know now that the Chumash people once shared these waters with whales.
Their tumult canoes floated above, the whales gliding below.
But now, shipping lanes pass through whale feeding grounds, sometimes striking and killing them.
So, through research and environmental advocacy, the shipping lanes were diverted to make whales safer.
We've learned about ocean acidification.
The ocean absorbs carbon dioxide emitted from burning fossil fuels, raising the acidity of the ocean.
This disrupts crustaceans' ability to form their shells.
And we've seen that our local behaviors have global impacts.
That trash we so thoughtlessly toss away, it washes down into our oceans,
where it will continue to harm plants, animals, and people for centuries to come.
This is a simple truth.
We are interconnected.
Our actions affect each other and the health of the planet.
And we are inspired to act, to make the world a better place.
At the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, we experience the potential of a restored marine environment.
We've seen what a healthy ecosystem looks like.
And we want more.
Now's the time to restore the health of the ocean that supports and connects us all.
I will educate people in my community about ocean acidification.
We must minimize our CO2 emissions, or we will face serious consequences.
I will serve as an ambassador for my watershed at home.
Because everyone is downstream.
I will volunteer at a National Marine Sanctuary near my home.
Because they are too special to lose.
We protect what we love, but to love, we must first understand.
I will educate people on how their actions will affect the ocean.
من الغابة للمدينة للصحراء.
The ocean is in our blood.
We are one ocean.
نحنا ocean for life.
Thank you for finding that video. The interesting thing is that a lot of those children are from the Middle East. They don't live on the coast. They actually live elsewhere. But the ocean is that metaphor that everybody gets, everybody begins to understand their connection. That was shot by them, scripted by them, everything by them, and it is to inspire people like Jessica has inspired. I wonder how many people in this room have ever been alone by themselves for more than a day. Probably not many. There's something that happens to you when you do, it's more than spiritual. It's one with nature. That is stream 8, and you can continue to be inspired with this and how people are trying to reach out to the next generation. And there's a Cascade computer game in the Ocean Pavilion. And if you go over there, 8:30 a.m. on Saturday, I know it's early, but you'll see how gaming is trying to be used to gather people's attention and to inspire them to want to learn more. So that's 8:30 Saturday at the Ocean Pavilion. And with that, sir, back to control.
Thank you very much. Well, we've now learned about all the 8 streams. I also wanted to mention that there are crosscuts, and we are one of them, the one leading across all of the different things. We have 3 other crosscuts. Some of you might remember them. There's the new social compact. I think this is about reaching out to communities, finding ways of working together, and I think that's been interwoven in a lot of what we've heard here already. We also have the one about capacity development. I think that's been an underlying theme in many of the presentations we've heard. I think we all feel very strongly that capacity building is actually at the heart of what we need to do as a community. Without knowing, it's very hard to do something right. And finally, we have the World Heritage crosscut. And I think we have had a tremendous amount of good experiences already here today of one of the World Heritage sites, but of course there's a number of other remarkable ones as well. This evening we'll have an opportunity in the Ocean Pavilion to meet up with many of the people who are actually managing World Heritage, 3 World Heritage sites around the world. So you're all very welcome to our pavilion to meet up with the people on the forefront of making marine World Heritage a reality. And finally, I wanted to mention a couple of words also about other things that are happening. On Monday night, we're going to have the marine reception. For those of you who have not received an invitation, come and talk to us, and we'll try to see if we can find 1 or 2 of the last ones. We will also have, I think, a number of other marine things that are in our journey. I think most of the ones who are here and managed to make it here have seen the marine journey already. But I think it will give you a lot of the details of how to get to the other marine events. There are, of course, other ways of doing that, including using the USB stick that is available in the Marine Ocean Pavilion, plus downloading the whole program and using it throughout your journey, so you don't have to have a paper copy of it. Also, there might be some changes to rooms. I think we had a problem yesterday with Sylvia on your presentation, so do check. Sometimes we have an updated thing on the Ocean Pavilion. Finally, I just wanted also to mention that we are working on the Promise of Sydney. So for those of you who have ideas and want to strengthen this, please provide comments into the team working on this. I think we've had a little bit of a light